we've kind of been talking about how the market's up a lot. The expectation is that the market is going to be moving forward, uh, going up much more, over the next quarter, the next 2 quarters. Prominent traders, Bob Lucas and Nexus, I've got this tweet to pull up, have been speaking about locking in a new financial level in the next 6 months. The question really is how do we do that practically? So in this tweet that we have here, Crypto Nexus quote tweeted another tweet to say, one of the most impactful things I've read on crypto Twitter was from Degen Spartan. Degen Spartan, if you know, legendary crypto Twitter personality, no longer posts on crypto Twitter, unfortunately. But what they articulated was, they talked about securing new checkpoints in life as you increase your net worth, so that if you ever have to restart, you're not doing it from the beginning. Withdraw constantly. Ledge, that's one perspective. How are you planning on thinking through the next 6 months from your perspective?
Absolutely, yes. I think I'm going to basically replay what I did at the start of the year, which was, as the first 2 or 3 months progressed, just constantly taking chips off the table, probably with a different strategy than yours. You are very, very systematic when you're DCAing out of stuff. I'm a bit more vibey when I do that, but ultimately we try to achieve the same thing. And I like this concept of locking in certain checkpoints, certain net worth checkpoints, which makes a ton of sense. And for me to do that actually means to try to move it into fiat these days, because even if I move it to another wallet, to a wallet that I can't access from home, which I think is a very important OPSEC concept, to make sure that you can't access all of your funds from home, by the way. But to actually move it out of the system and have it in fiat, ultimately, I do have stuff to pay in fiat, including taxes, my apartment, etc., etc. And that now has added so much, I would say, mental ease and so much like comfort to do that, because it's something I've never done in the years before. And I've been in crypto for 9 years, and I had everything there. And I used to just move it to another cold storage of mine, but not actually take chips off the table. And I think that for me, the time frame to look at is still towards the end of the year, where I want to have more in stablecoins. The only thing that has shifted is that I'm now also way more comfortable, because I had reached a certain checkpoint that allows me to do that, to not move everything I want to take out into fiat, as I just said, but just increase my BTC exposure with a horizon of the next 5 to 10 years to hold it for a longer period in time.
I like it. Okay. What about a question on how do you think about it for different portfolio sizes? Like, obviously, everyone is working at different levels. We were at all the other levels beforehand. Like, I think I came in with a couple of ETH back in 2021 and was buying NFTs. And if I wanted to buy another NFT, I had to sell one NFT to get a different one. And so I was always trying to make those decisions. So how are you thinking about it for maybe a 4-figure portfolio, mid 5-figure, 6-figure? Like, how does things change?
I think the lower your portfolio size is, the less sense it makes to just rely on stacking BTC. Like, if you only have 5 figures and you don't plan to add more into your crypto capital from an outside income source, whatever that is, and then you hold Bitcoin from 116 to 1M, you'll move from 4 to 5 figures. And again, if you plan to DCA in and you actually work, have a job, a business, whatever, you're DCing into Bitcoin, it's a complete different situation. But if your entire portfolio is 4 figures and that's the capital you have to play around with, and you don't plan to add more reload, then I wouldn't stack the majors with that, because you won't have a significant impact on your life if you move from, I don't know, 2K to 20K. It's a lot of money nonetheless, but it's not probably the amount of life-changing money that a lot of people envision when they come into this space. So I think if I had to operate with a portfolio of that size, my focus would be to use a good part of that to try to farm airdrops, but in a way that doesn't really take an exposure to the most degenerate coins where I can lose it all. I think back in the day when we were running airdrop season and we had all those guides, for example, on Arbitrum, and help people to tick off all the criteria that were obviously published ex post on Arbitrum, those were like 4 or 5 figure airdrops that you had, and you didn't have to take a lot of directional exposure, sorry for that, to achieve
Most
that.
people got 5. If anyone did it with us during the bear market, they got 5 figures.
Yeah, 10 to 20K, I think, was like the range. And
Yeah.
without, you could do that on a low budget. Yes, you were burning a couple hundreds in transaction costs if you really wanted to go for massive bridging volume, and you couldn't do that in one big clip, so you had to like do it with maybe hundreds of transactions or so, but obviously very lucrative. I would still keep a very, very small part of that mid 4 figure portfolio for like very risky plays, and to have the potential 10x in there, but I'd really be very strict about that. But because at that level, you just can't afford to lose it all with 3 trades if you can't reload, obviously. With mid 5 figures, I think airdrops are still an interesting and important thing. And I think this is also the part when you can begin the airdrop farming in the way that you like to describe as lazy farming. So aka that is letting your capital work for you. It is putting money into stuff like Liminal or whatever you find interesting at the moment, and having, I don't know, having 10K in there, and hoping to achieve a nice yield from that. And that already can accumulate into 6 figures, gives you a bit more flexibility with trading memes, trading alts, trading JPEGs, whatever you want to do, wherever you want to position yourself on the long tail. And then the I don't know, like low 6 figs to mid 6 figs is probably it's not probably, is where I think then stacking up on BTC and using that, stacking up the majors, using these assets productively, also using them to farm airdrops. This is where stuff accumulates pretty quickly. And the journey from 7 to 8 probably doesn't change too much, I would argue. And the journey from 8 to 9 figures, that's something that I can't report on from personal experience, obviously, because I'm far away from having to think about these kind of problems. But I spoke to people, and most often the answer was, that's like, if you want to go from 10 to 100 million, you have to actually build a company. You have to do something. Doing that of trading in crypto alone becomes, at this point in time, incredibly hard.
I agree. I definitely agree with that final sentiment. I think building is long term. If you can be long term oriented enough, and if actually maybe that's the final thing. You dealt with the details. That maybe the final thing I'll leave people with is, if you can be long term oriented enough, and you're going to commit to the industry so much, do something beyond just the financial trading. I think there is a real beauty to being able to trade in the background and just make money. It's like a magic power to not have to rely on anyone else and just place a trade and then make money 1 month later. However, building something simultaneously, letting your equity grow as the world inflates all the dollars away, it means your equity is going to be growing as well. And you're in an environment where crypto equity specifically has suddenly become the hottest type of equity in the world because it was never allowed to be on the market before. So my prediction for modern market equity is that it's going to be incredibly valuable in the future. My prediction for any crypto equity in the future is that it's going to be very valuable if you do it well and if you kind of commit to it. So I think it's a huge opportunity in that respect too.